Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Real Steel, where we talk all things Pittsburgh Steelers. No BS, just the real steel. I'm your host, Jeff, joined as always by my co host, Polt. And it's a Steelers W we get to talk about today, Polt. 27-22, win against the Baltimore Ravens. You were there, boots on the ground, Steelers in first place in the division. I don't know how I'm feeling about it because I'm still trying to temper my expectations for the rest of the year. But I know that you, after being there, were on cloud nine, and maybe you still are. So how are we doing over there in Baltimore?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm on cloud nine still, but the day of, I definitely was. I don't know what it was. Just hearing about how bad the Steelers were all week, how bad I was feeling about them, right? And to go into our biggest rivals like stadium and come out with a win in a game that, I mean, on the stat sheet they kind of dominated us, and we still somehow won the game. I thought that was awesome, and I absolutely cloud nine Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. But yeah, it's kind of a bittersweet cloud nine. I mean, we talked about last week how defeated we were and how we were debating if we should lose out and not win another game the rest of the year because that would help us move on for the future. And now we just beat our division rival. We took the first place in the division, and I'm with you. I at times don't know really how to feel about it.
Yeah, people are saying the Ravens are a bad team.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, though, Steelers Ravens games are always going to be what they've always been for us, and
Yep.
a win down there is huge. And I think we got a couple schools of thought here. The first is, wow, we're 7-6. We're in first place in the division. We have 4 games left. If we win 3 of those games, we're automatically in. Win
Yep.
3 of the 4. Um, we can get in other scenarios with help, right? We could win 2 of those games, and if Baltimore loses, a little bit more, then we'll be okay, and we'll get that playoff spot. So that's great. Like that's awesome that the Steelers have a path to the playoffs. Like we're in a pretty good spot right now, control our own destiny.
Yeah.
But then you go and you look at, well, what's going to tell you that this is any different than what it's always been, right? This screams kind of that 9-8 year. Maybe it's 10-7. Maybe week 18 we get to the point where we're playing the Ravens and we need to win to get in, or we need some other help. Who knows? But the way that it looks right now is if the Pittsburgh Steelers make the playoffs, we're probably going to be the 4 seed,
Yep.
and we're probably going to play the Buffalo Bills, who are likely to be the 5 seed. And that's just how it's panning out right now. Of course, things can change. We still got 4 weeks left, but there's a pretty decent chance that both those two things happen. Steelers get the 4 and the Bills get the 5. And then you have Buffalo coming to Pittsburgh for our nice little yearly first round loss in the playoffs. So I'm just trying to, again, temper my expectations and kind of know
Yeah.
what's in front of me, because there has been nothing really that has told me that this is going to be any different this year. This was the most classic Mike Tomlin win, right? Like the team's
Yeah.
down pretty bad. You go into Baltimore, you get a big win that seemingly kind of picks us back up. But I know better now to not ride this high so high, because we still got some games in front of us. Now, sorry,
Yeah.
one other thing I was going to say.
No, you're good.
We are never the team that strings together wins at the end of the season and
It's
looks
true.
strong rolling into playoffs. Granted, there's things to work on both sides of the ball here, but if the offense can play like they did against the Ravens, and we get some of the defensive performances that we've had earlier in the season, and we do string together 3 or 4 wins, then maybe I will be convinced otherwise. Maybe I will say, hey, this year could be different if we're playing at that caliber. But I don't really know if we have seen a full game from the Pittsburgh Steelers where really offense, defense, and special teams are really playing at the highest level. I don't really think we've seen it, and I need to see that to get excited and to think that there's hope. Now we could still make playoffs and have it turn out to be good there, but I don't know. That's kind of how I'm feeling.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it in quarters of a game or a half of a game, but we've never seen it for 4 quarters. I could
Yeah.
not agree more with that. But I will say this is the first time I think since maybe week 1 that I felt, or maybe the Bengals game, but again, we kind of knew how bad that defense was the first time around. This is the first time I looked at the passing offense and said, "Wow, okay, maybe we have something here. Maybe Aaron's healthy again. Maybe these other older pieces, veteran pieces are going to make a difference. I don't really know. Again, like you said, we could put a lot of the blame on the Ravens not being a very good defense, but also the passing game looked great. And but the defense continues to struggle, and that's kind of been the theme the last couple of weeks. There's a lot of injuries on that side of the ball. There's a lot of injuries that came out of this game. And but I will say it does seem like Aaron Rodgers is back to, like, he might not be 100% healthy, but he looked far better this week than he did last week against the Bills with that cast on his wrist. And he talked about he changed it. It wasn't like a cast. It was like a brace that he made the decision on Saturday, like without telling anybody. He said, I'm doing the cast because I want to be able to get under center. And getting under center, we ran the ball horribly, but it did help us in the play action game and in some of these passing looks. And I mean, if he can continue to play like that, and our defense like can be at least decent, I do think we have a chance to beat some of these teams. The Bills maybe not, but with how the standings currently look, we would be facing the Los Angeles Chargers in Pittsburgh. And I know we played them already. Yeah, they're the 5 seed right now. They have best win percentage in conference games.
I thought the
Bills
Bills had 11 wins and the Chargers had 10 wins.
The Chargers are 9-4 and the Bills are 9-4.
Oh, okay. So there's a tie break there, and the Chargers.
Yes, but here's the
Patriots have 11 wins. That's
yes,
what I was thinking.
but here's the issue: the Chargers' schedule is like ridiculous. I think they play like the Chiefs, and they play the Cowboys, and they play the Broncos, and they play the Texans. Like, they have a really hard schedule. But if it ended the way it was right now, and Los Angeles had to come to Pittsburgh, I actually think that's a game we have a chance to play. Like,
I think so too.
You know what I mean? Like, so I think there are matchups here that we could have a chance to win. I'm with you. I still do not think we're going to win a playoff game this year, but I think there's a chance, depending on the matchup, that we could get lucky.
Yeah. Again, we're not going to get our hopes up here because playoffs still not even fully in out of the question that we make it or not. But as it sits right now, I think it's at least worth saying with 4 games left. Yeah. The Bills coming into town, I think we're dead in the water. But bring the Chargers in, and the way Justin Herbert played last night against the Eagles. Now, granted, there's a lot of time until that point comes, but get them in cold weather, and you wish for a really cold game at home in Pittsburgh, and maybe LA can't handle it as well. So who knows? We'll see if we get there. We got some weeks ahead of us.
The last thing I'll say about the standings and stuff before we move to the game is it does put us a game up on the Ravens with the tiebreaker in hand. We have the second one coming up. But the Bengals also lost, so they're now 3 games back. I think what ultimately happens is if the Bengals have to win all 4 games. They have the Ravens at the Dolphins, the Cardinals, and the Browns. They very easily could win all 4, but they have to win all 4. You would assume the Ravens have to win 3 of their 4. Well, they play the Bengals, the Patriots, the Packers, and us. Those are 4 tough games, right? And then you would assume we have to win, 3 to guarantee it, but you would think 9-8 probably gets us in with 2 wins. Yeah. So out of the Dolphins, the Lions, the Browns, and the Ravens, we have to win 2 of those games to feel comfortable. And that would also make Mike Tomlin feel comfortable because it's 9-8 once again. So I think that's what we're aiming here to clinch the division is 9-8.
Yeah, I think so too. 10 wins would be nice.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to get 3 wins though in our last 4.
No.
But we'll see. We got to beat Miami this week, and we'll talk about that at the end of the episode. But we got to beat Miami, and that would be a big thing for us. So let's get back to the game. Aaron Rodgers, 23 of 34, 284 yards, 1 passing touchdown, and one touchdown on the run.
That was awesome.
Yeah, I think it saw something. He's the tied for the oldest to score a rushing touchdown. 42 years old. Rodgers just turned 42. I think Brady had a rushing touchdown at 42, and I forget who the other person was. But yeah, Rodgers is now in that collection of individuals with a rushing touchdown at the age of 42, which is quite impressive. You mentioned running game didn't really get going, but if you look at the stat sheet here at the wide receiver, I think something jumps out, and this is what we've been looking for to jump out. And it's DK Metcalf. Not only did he have 7 catches, he had 12 targets. And almost 150 yards, 148 average of 21, the recipient of quite a few long balls. I think 3 passes over 20 yards, which you talked about last week. How we haven't had a completion through the air over
We
20
went
yards in a
all
long
of
time.
November without a long passing play.
So much overdue, and it was good to kind of see Aaron and DK on the same page, and this is what we wanted and expected with a wide
Yep.
receiver one in DK Metcalf. So that was really, really great to see. Offensively, that ball was really spread around too. Lots of guys kind of getting involved, and the change that we made ahead of time of this game was the signing of Adam Thielen, a longtime veteran, and elevated Marquez Valdez-Scantling up. But with that, Roman Wilson
Yeah.
was listed as inactive. So there was a lot of, I would say, confusion ahead of the game in terms of like what was actually happening. Were Thielen and MVS going to be our saviors? And I think the answer is no. Did they play a role in the game? Yeah. But that was an interesting move by the Steelers to list Roman Wilson as inactive. What was your take on that?
Yeah, and if you would have asked me to predict that last week, I never would have said that's what would have happened. I thought Roman Wilson had been the second best receiver on our team behind DK in the last couple of weeks, and for whatever reason, they just I haven't seen anything reported about it. I've seen people complain about it, but I haven't seen anybody give a reason why, and I still have no idea why they did it, but. I will say the snap counts completely changed in this game, and they did some things that we wanted to do. Obviously, the Darnell Washington injury early in the game kind of changed our formations and some of our player personnel. But DK led the team in wide receiver snaps. But then it was Adam Thielen. He played 48% of the snaps, and he was number 2. Then followed by Calvin Austin and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who both played 31% of the snaps. So they were equal on snaps, which I think is really interesting. And then Skoronix and Scotty Miller's a little further down. But they did just completely, give the keys to Adam Thielen and even Marquez Valdez-Scantling in both of their first games in the Steelers jersey. And like you said, nothing crazy on the stat sheet. But I do think at least Thielen played a role. And he had one catch, but the the controversial interception, not interception by Aaron Rodgers, where he caught the ball himself and then was down. He had Adam Thielen on like a 30 or 40-yard pass wide open. And if the defensive lineman made a great play and batted it down, if he didn't do that, I mean, we're talking about Adam Thielen with 2 catches for 50 yards or something like that. And that making a pretty big impact. So it's interesting move. I thought that was crazy that they went and claimed him off waivers last week. But obviously they're gonna give him a shot, and I guess we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, I still think it's weird that Scotty Miller got the nod over Roman Wilson. I mean,
Yeah.
I think Roman Wilson has been our best route runner. You said it seems like he's been our second best receiver. I do think he has a lot of talent. Maybe there's just not a connection with this quarterback room. So that was interesting. But you got to wonder what they did last week, if they're going to kind of rinse and repeat
Right.
and bring that into the Miami game. Now we have an extra day of rest, right? So
Yeah.
that's going to help someone like Adam Thielen kind of get some more reps. Same with MBS ahead of that game. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think bringing these guys into the locker room, it's such a classic Mike Tomlin thing to
It
do,
is.
right? To sign one of these really old veterans that maybe makes a difference and maybe doesn't. But at the end of the day, the offense produced from the passing game in the ways that you would want to see it. So I don't know if we give credit where credit's due or not, but maybe it's because I don't know who to give the credit to. But
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And a good comment about Scotty Miller. So we could have said maybe he played to be a gunner, which we'll talk about later because it's pretty funny with DK. But Scotty Miller only played one special team snap. And Roman Wilson the last few weeks has been out there as a gunner. So it is kind of, I don't know, maybe he's in the doghouse, maybe he did something. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what they do this week. Just one more thing about the passing game. My one concern, and I came out early and said how happy I was with it. My one concern is it did live and die by that long passing game. We had, I think,
it did.
3, 4, or 5 long passes, including, the Jalen Warren touchdown, the DK catches. Calvin Austin had one. That was our offense most of the day. And is that really going to happen every single week against maybe some better defenses? I don't know. If Aaron throws the ball like he did on Sunday, it might. And he makes some reads like that. But it's hard to trust big plays being your only offense. So for that, I will say I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit on this offensive passing game.
Yeah, no, that's a really great point. What's up with Darnell Washington? Do you know?
He has a concussion.
Okay.
So he left the game with a concussion. Mike Tomlin, I think in his press conference today, said the extra day of rest, or the extra day, I guess, before the Monday night game is going to help him, and he has a chance to play on Monday, but no guarantee.
Yeah, because you think about if we don't have that deep passing game, or if that threat gets kind of taken away, you look for the over the middle, you look for kind of the shorter routes, and you look for the three tight ends that we have that
Yep.
haven't made as big of a splash this year as we would have liked. Maybe you could say Darnell Washington has, but um, Pat Fryermuth and Johnny Smith have been pretty freaking quiet this year. So
Yep.
uh, we'll see, right? I think you kind of got to prepare for everything, and if that deep ball isn't hitting, then you got to be ready to make some changes and get the damn ball over the middle, which we seem to be struggling doing. But
Yeah, and it is important to say Pat Fryermuth did outsnap Johnny Smith for the first time in weeks. So maybe they are making a change there too.
yeah, one other stat line I just want to mention with the offense: no sacks for Aaron Rodgers, and I think generally speaking, this offensive line has really kind of come into their own. Um, Broderick Jones was out, but
Yep.
Fautanu is playing some really, really good football. I think we have a stud at the center position, which we've talked about before. But generally speaking, I think this line is doing the job that you would hope and expect them to. A lot of the pressure I feel like Aaron Rodgers takes on is kind of self-inflicted
Yeah.
with a lot of the movement that he makes in the pocket, and so I'm pretty happy with where the offensive line is, and I don't know if I would have said that or expected that at this point in the season.
Well, I think it's really important to mention. You said Broderick Jones was out, so Andres Pete got the start, but he also went out with a concussion during the game, and we don't know what his status is for next week. So Dylan Cook, who just got elevated off the practice squad, he's been with us for a few years, a younger guy, not with a ton of experience, came in and played 13 snaps, so he was in there in the fourth quarter. Obviously, we didn't do anything offensively in the fourth quarter, but he was in there, and we'll see who starts the game on Monday.
Yeah, good point. Okay, what else about the offense is noteworthy? Do you want to bring anything else up?
I mean, the running stats, we probably should mention how bad they were, right? I mean, what was. Let me see.
Yeah, 34 total yards on
Thank you.
17 carries, so it's an average of two. Jalen Warren 8 carries, Kenneth Gainwell 4 carries. Really, nothing happened in the run game. Now, it's okay because the passing game, you said live and die by those long plays, and they were hitting. If
Yeah.
they're not, the run game is what our team is built on, right? So we've been saying feed Jalen Warren the ball. 8 carries for 13 yards wasn't looking too good for him, but I don't necessarily think that means you should move away from that type of
No,
strategy.
me neither.
Yeah,
And I'll just say Kenneth Gainwell, if you like to gamble, he continues to get the ball an insane amount in the passing game. Yeah, Kenneth, he had 6 catches on 7 targets, only 27 yards, but that man catches a lot of dump passes. So, yeah, I mean, he continues to be a big player for us. So,
yeah, totally agree. I think he's been honestly our best offseason addition, at least on the offensive side of the
I
ball.
can't disagree.
Well, I mean, you can say Aaron Rodgers, right? But I wouldn't say that. I'd say
Yeah.
Kenneth Gainwell has made a really significant, contributions to the team this year. So,
Yep.
all right, let's look at things defensively because this was an interesting game in that we won by 5 points. But if you look at pretty much most of the statistics, if
Every
not really
stat.
everything, the Ravens really kind of took the cake. 22 first downs compared to our 13 first downs. 420 total yards that the Steelers defense let up. Steelers offense, by the way, had about 100 less than that. And it was kind of a rushing and a little bit of a passing, I would say, crapshoot in terms of the defense. 217 yards is what our defense let up on the ground, 200 through the air. So this was overall, one turnover that we forced, but this was overall a pretty, I don't know, worse game than I think the 22 points lets up.
Uh,
22 believe.
oh, my goodness. Yeah. I mean, we kind of got, and to be honest with you, during the game sitting there, and this is where, like, just being there, I wasn't following the statistics very much and like what was going on, but I just felt like the entire second half and most of the game, to be honest, I was just waiting for the Ravens to come down and take the lead. And
Yeah.
it's crazy to think about that because we went 4 straight drives in the middle of the game scoring points besides the end of the half. And I still, the entire second half, was like, the Ravens are going to take the lead here, and
Yep.
we're not going to be able to stop them and get the ball back. And they certainly had chances. I mean, they got the ball down deep twice towards the end of the game. Both had controversy at the end of the drives. And I don't know, man. This defense is just like, they gave up 217 rushing yards on 40 attempts. My bold prediction was Derrick Henry under 100 yards. I got lucky because he only had 94. But I do think if they would have given him the ball 5 times, 7 times more, they probably beat us. And that's crazy to say, but he averaged like 4 yards a carry. Keaton Mitchell had 6 for 76. Lamar finally ran the ball 7 for 43. I mean, the run defense is absolutely horrendous. And just the stat on that is Derek Harmon again, who I think
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin might have mentioned today, might come back on Monday with the extra day.
Need him.
It was in Washington, it was actually Harmon. But with him playing 9 games, they averaged 4 yards per carry, 96 rushing yards per game, 4 touchdowns. Without him in 4 games, we give up 4.8 yards per carry, 191 rushing yards a game, and 6 touchdowns. He is worth 100 yards difference in the run defense, and it's ridiculous that
Crazy
that's a
what one
thing.
guy can do.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you look at this next game against Miami, they have a really, really good running back. In fact, I
Yep.
think Devon Achane might be leading the league in rushing yards, perhaps. That's going to be someone that the Steelers need to be able to handle. And wow, would it be good to have, our solid guy up front and the D line back?
He's third,
We
but
definitely going to
he's
need
up
that.
there.
Okay, but I mean, he's probably pretty close. So. Over 1,000 yards on the season already, right?
Yep, 1,100.
So we'll get there in a moment, but yeah, I think this was a tough game just in terms of all the bleeding that happened, right? And
Yep.
there's been I think a lot of personnel changes on the defensive side with people being out and people coming in and getting elevated and stuff, but it's challenging when you don't see the level of consistency and you see this much variation from one game to the next. That
Yeah.
I think is what I'm struggling for and is making me have those thoughts that I said at the very beginning of the episode where it's like, man, we know what our defense can be and has been. We've seen it, but we've also seen them be probably the worst or one of the worst defenses in the entire NFL.
Yeah.
So you never know what you're going to get, and God forbid that comes on a day where the defense or where the offense is just shitting the bed,
And we get blown out.
yeah, it's not going to be a fun day, and you hope and you pray that that's not going to happen week 18 if we're fighting for a playoff spot, or week 19 in the first week of the playoffs. Again, we don't know what
Yeah.
things are going to look like at that point, but what we do know is that the defense has it in them to play really well, to
Oh, yeah.
force a ton of turnovers, to be really sticky, and to not let up all of these rushing yards, and to get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. We know that that's there. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I think that's probably why I'm just
It's no,
feeling this game out.
I don't blame you. And I mean, it's hard when you give up a lot in the air. I think it's easier to stomach it, or at least it is for me. But when you give up over 200 yards rushing, that just was. It shows you that you weren't the tougher team and you were getting beat in the trenches. And a lot of times in playoff games or in big games in general, whoever wins the trenches wins the game. But on that note, I thought we did actually play decent pass defense. Lamar 19 of 35 for 219 yards and TD. Another not a good interception from him again. He just continues to have moments. We just make him uncomfortable, I think. I don't really know what it is, but he always does something stupid when he plays the Steelers, and he didn't look good.
For sure.
Yeah, I will say so. Kyle Duggar was a late addition to the injury report, did not end up playing. That really hurt us, I think. So Chuck Clark played 57% of the snaps. Jabril Peppers played 42. So they kind of split those snaps. But I do want to say, I think that the DBs, James Pierre has been unbelievable this year for us. I thought he started playing again better yesterday. And I thought Brandon Echols had one of his better games. The guy was all over the place. He had a sack, couple passes defended. I thought he played well. But Joey Porter Jr., we also have to give some love to. I saw this in his last 5 games via PFF. 13 targets, 3 catches allowed, 31 yards allowed. 3 catches for 31 yards against him in the last 5 games, and that's against some pretty good quarterbacks and pretty good offenses. Now, granted, all 3 of the really good quarterbacks we played, they ran the ball for like hundreds of yards on us. But Joey Porter Jr. has started to play a lot better, and I think that's also changed some of the secondary issues we've had. So just wanted to call out some of those secondary guys for playing a pretty good game.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I'll add to it. I really do think James Pierre is having himself quite the year, and
Yeah.
he'll make a good bit of money next year, and hopefully he stays with the Steelers. And that's something that we'll have to figure out when we get to the offseason. But it's been great to see James Pierre step up, especially from a guy who, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think he made the initial roster, right?
Correct.
He was a practice squad guy. He's been elevated, and now he's kind of really proven his worth. So James Pierre he tends to, at least in previous seasons, like he has pretty low lows and pretty high highs, but this year I think has been a better year, much better, much more consistent year for him. So love to see that out of number 42. One other thing I was going to mention is Cole Holcomb was our leading tackler in this game, with 9 total tackles, and Alex Highsmith he's a dog. He's a dog. Good to see him kind of show he belongs.
This was his best game, I think, in a few weeks or since he got injured. Like Highsmith was all over the ball, had the game-ending sack, 3 tackles for losses, 2 QB hits. He was the one getting the most pressure on Lamar, and yeah, I thought Alex Highsmith played a great game.
Totally. Okay.
One other thing to mention is without Derek Harmon, there was a change on the D line. I guess Keanu Benton did kind of get hurt, but Yahya Black did play 80% of the snaps. So he was in there and didn't really do anything on the stat sheet, but everything I'm seeing online said that people thought he played pretty well. So if Derek Harmon's out, keep looking for him to get more snaps.
Okay, cool. Let's move to special teams really quick. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't get the chance to really fully pay attention to Corliss Waitman's punting. I kind of half-assed watched this game. I was tied up for the majority of the day, but I'm looking at his stats: 4 for 197, an average of 50. Must have had an okay day punting for Waitman.
Yeah, it was better than it has been. Yes.
Okay, because it hasn't been great. Ball's consistent as can be: 2 field goals, 3 extra points. But we got to talk about this thing that happened at the gunner.
Yep.
And Ben Skoranek came out with a finger injury, right? Like he messed up his finger.
That's what started it, but it gets even better.
Well, I think you should tell. I don't.
All right, so the last punt of the game, we're punting. This is right after we go 3 and out after they had their turnover on downs. And we're punting the ball. And Ben Skoranek had a hurt hand. And DK Metcalf was standing there and was like, well, let me do it. I'll go in. And put himself in the game as the gunner. Well, Skoranek came to the near side and was like, well, I'm not going out of the game. So then he kicked out, I think, James Pierre, who was coming in for him. And so Skoranek with a hurt hand and DK Metcalf, who had one gunner rep in college and has not had one since, was the gunner on the most critical punt of the game for us and actually played a pivotal role in helping us pin them. He had 2 guys on him. He was right around the football. I mean, pretty crazy and selfless behavior from our number 1 receiver. I don't know what number 1 receiver in the league you would see doing that. Exactly.
No.
So for him to see the team potentially being in need and being willing to step up and make a play, I think that's unbelievable.
You got to hope that goes a long way on in the locker room and to the players, because on this, like, from the outside looking in, that's like incredible.
Yeah.
That's a very humble thing to do. It's a very much like, hey, put the team first kind of thing to do. God, George Pickens would never do anything like that. But to the point that you said, I don't feel like any wide receiver 1 across the league is doing something like that. So that was just a really, really cool moment. And also, like, I love Ben Skoranek. Like, I think he is an awesome, awesome guy. And I do believe he might be number 1 in Pro Bowl voting at the special teams position right now. So I hope he gets in. Not that the Pro Bowl is anything crazy, but it's a good recognition. And that would be really cool for him. So, I love that for Ben Skoranek. Hopefully his finger and his hand is not something that will hold him out, because he is a vital player and usually due for, one random catch on offense.
He always has one.
And plays well at the special teams position in that role. So, good stuff there from special teams. Okay. What else? Anything else with the game?
No, I don't think so.
How was your experience overall? Were you talking shit? Were you?
Oh yeah, I was pretty vocal. So I was the second to last row in the entire stadium, and there was the entire row in front of me. My two friends beside me and everybody behind me were all Steelers fans, so I felt pretty comfortable. And I definitely talked the whole game, and it was a blast, man. Just I was waiting. The end of the game, I had my terrible towel over my head, like covering my face because I knew we were going to give it up, and we didn't. And it was cool. It is kind of funny to be. We briefly touched on the controversy of the Isaiah Likely catch. If you look back at it, and Terry McCauley did a great job on Twitter explaining why it wasn't a catch per the rule book. He disagrees that he thinks the rule's wrong, but based on the rule, it's not a catch. It is funny being on the other side of that because we've gone through the Jesse James catch,
Sure
not
have.
catch, whatever. We've been through it, and now all of these Ravens fans that I know are that was like the number one thing they said to me on Monday. But it was a catch, so the refs handed you the game, and it's like, I mean, it's easy to blame that one play, but maybe he shouldn't have showboated, and maybe he should have actually held on to the football. Great play by Joey Porter Jr. to knock it out. So that I do think is pretty one of the funniest parts of the game.
The Ravens had a lot of drops in
Yeah,
that game
they do
overall,
every time they play us.
and I gotta say, this is just gonna take me right in. It's kind of a little bit of a Polt special here, but I gotta give my jag off just to not to Ravens fans, but to the people complaining about the refs
Yep.
causing them the game. And I've been there before, you know.
We all have.
I'm a big complainer about the refs, but I do think I have matured in the sense that I'm like, it's in very few instances is it actually where the refs fully change the outcome of the game.
Yeah.
In a lot of instances, I think they can change momentum and I think they can change plays, which you can argue certainly can impact the trajectory of the game. But I do think very few times that we've been talking about some of these games, the refs have fully been the reason for the outcome of the game.
Yeah.
And like you said, it is selfishly kind of nice to be on the other side of it,
It
but
is.
I think people just gotta chill out. And I was kind of really annoyed with going to Twitter after the game or seeing that, oh, the refs handed the Steelers the game and blah blah blah. It's the only reason they won and whatever. And hey, if you guys are going to outgain us 420 yards to 320 yards, if you're going to get 217 yards on the ground, you guys should win the game. So it's not on the refs. It's on probably the mistakes that you made and, getting out coached by the classic Mike Tomlin game.
Yeah, and I think a great point to add to it is they got the ball back again. They got
Yeah.
inside the 30-yard line. They had another chance to do it, and Lamar got sacked on 3rd and 1 to end the game. I mean, I get it. It sucks. We've been there. We all understand. But at the end of the day, they could have made a few more plays. They don't miss the extra point. It's an entirely different game. There's more than just that one play that lost them the game. So yeah, I love that jag-off. I'm gonna give my jag-off to, I think the worst thing we did in this game was running the football. I think our running game was absolutely abysmal. And I know they have some big bodies and have a decent D line, but if we're going to win any games the rest of the year, I don't care if it's the Browns, the Dolphins, the Lions, or the Ravens, we have to run the ball better than we did. So the running game's 34 yards on 17 carries. It's just abysmal. So I'm going to give it to the running game.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. It was abysmal, and we need that to get back on track. I think this was our worst game on the ground
Yeah.
all season, and we're fortunate that it didn't really bite us too badly. So let's get it back in gear against the Dolphins. We're going to need it. Okay, balls of steel. I might take yours, but I'm only giving it to one person. So if you want to double down, we can. But I got to just give it to DK Metcalf.
Yep.
The selflessness of DK on that play as the gunner. And also, this was a huge game for him. 148 yards on 7 catches. Great to see DK. And I mean, he just made some phenomenal catches, too. Great throws by Aaron Rodgers. But if you watch any of his long ball catches, they were really, really great plays. So the toughness kind of shown by DK and the team player mentality that he communicated in this game. Listen, I go back to what I said. The Steelers are not a team that strings together 3, 4, 5 wins to go into the end of a season.
No.
If they were to do it this year, I think that was the turning point.
Yeah.
I'm not projecting or forecasting that it's going to happen. I would love if it does, but if it were to, I really think like that's a pivotal moment from a veteran player that you say, hey, the Steelers brought this guy in for a reason. Look at what he did for the team. Look at how he put everyone ahead of us, and he's showing up and he's getting the job done. So DK Metcalf, balls of steel for me. I don't think I've given him one this year, but
I will confirm that, but I am going to also double down because for everything you said, I mean, the guy's not been doing anything the last 3 or 4 weeks, and to be honest, it hasn't necessarily been his fault. And he's just sat there and he's just worked, and he has not spoken in the media about not getting the ball, anything like that. I agree, his leadership is crazy. Listen to this quote he made about the gunner comment. Sko was on the sideline saying his finger hurt, so I said, I got you. When I saw him running on the field, I went to the other side. I got one gunner rep in college, but I'm trying to win. That's all he cared about. All he wanted to do was win. And I think that's a mentality we want. He said he's been waiting for Aaron Rodgers to throw him the ball like that. He said as soon as he saw him wind up on the first one, he's like, here we go. Here's my opportunity. And that's just like the mentality we want. We want these guys that are going to come in and work every day and just try to win the game. And that's what DK Metcalf seems to be doing. And I give him so much credit. So, yeah, DK's big game deserves the balls of steel, especially with what happened to him after the game. So we hope he feels better and he's doing okay this week.
yeah. Okay. Ready to talk about the Dolphins game?
Let's do it.
Okay. Monday Night Football in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Steelers have a pretty darn good record at home on Monday Night Football. Color Rush game, by the way.
Yep.
Pretty cool. Love the Color Rush unis. So here's the deal. Miami Dolphins are 6-7. They have won 4 in a row. They've won 5 of their last 6. They are fighting for a playoff spot, likely not going to make it, but this game matters a lot for them. What I don't like is that the Steelers are 3-point favorites. That never really seems to bode well for us, or at least we don't seem to like when we're favorited. Nonetheless, Tua, their quarterback, king of interceptions, still having a pretty good game in terms of yardage, or a good season in terms of yardage with 2,400 passing yards. Devon Achane is a really, really good running back. He gets the ball a lot, not only in the backfield, but they pass to him a lot. And Jalen Waddle, their leading wide receiver, has over 800 yards this season, and he's really had himself a really nice year so far. So this is an offense that is either going to hit or they're going to miss. And they're bad when they miss, but when they hit, they're good, and they can put up a lot of points too. So that's something that I think worries me a little bit. The Dolphins have put up, let me see, their last game against the Jets, 34 points. They put up 30 points against the Bills a few weeks ago. Lots of games, in the 20s, upper 20s, cracking into 30 points. So this is a team that I think is going to give us a little bit of a run for our money. I think on paper you would expect the Steelers to win this game, and if it was a few weeks ago, you would expect the Steelers to win even more. But this is a game I'm definitely, I would say clenching about because, it could be a really tough game for the Steelers here. What's your take?
Yeah, and we've talked about this a couple times this year. The Steelers have just been bad on primetime football games, and it honestly makes us hate primetime. And here we go once again in a must-have a game. Pretty much, we're in primetime, and we'll see what Miami can do against that. I think that could help us though, so I'll talk about that in a second. Going through the stats though. They score, but like you said, they're hot and cold. They're averaging only 21.5 points per game, which is 22nd in the league. They're 28th in passing game, 178 yards a game, but they are 8th in running the football, averaging over 125 yards. So, again, look for the defensive run defense to be a key to this game. Defensively, they give up 23 points a game. That's 15th in the league. They're 12th against the pass and 25th against the run. So we keep running into these teams that aren't that good at run defense, but we also can't run the ball. So we'll see how that happens. I think, again, the trenches are going to win this game. I really do. But here's the thing. I know you're down south right now, but up north it is cold. And it is getting cold, and I don't know the forecast, but my hope is it's going to stay cold because this is the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins. They always fall apart in December because they have to go up north and play football games. Tua Tagovailoa stinks in the cold. He's not a good player in the cold. I'm hoping we stay cold temperatures Monday night. It's a night game, so that will only make it even colder. And I hope that that plays a huge role in this game. I was going to say under 200 yards for Tua as my bold prediction, but man, he hasn't hit 200 yards in the last 4 games. So I'm going to say this is a big turnover game because once again, I expect Tua to make mistakes because he's cold. I think we get 2+ interceptions against Tua this week.
Yeah, 14 interceptions for Tua on the year. I don't know where that sits in terms of. Let me
Number
look
one.
at that really quick. He's number one in
Yeah,
interceptions. Okay, so very well could happen. I think my bold prediction last week was 3 turnovers.
it was.
Didn't happen. You hit your bold prediction with under 100 yards from Derrick Henry, very very barely,
Yep.
but you hit it. To me, this is a Chris Boswell game, and I think we're going to see it. I think we're going to see four plus Chris Boswell field goals.
Okay.
That's my bold prediction. I don't know if we're going to have the ability to get in the end zone a ton. I feel like we could see a lot of this unfortunate kind of make some solid plays, get some good drives together, and it just falls short. So I'm thinking this is going to be a Chris Boswell coming out game. Expect a drug test for Boz after this game. We'll see what happens. But listen, I go back to I don't necessarily believe all the time the this team is 3-0 in these opportunities when this is happening, or this
Yeah.
blah 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 in this case. But the fact of the matter here is the Pittsburgh Steelers at home on Monday Night Football have won 22 games in a row.
Wow.
The last time we lost Monday Night Football was 1991 at home. Granted, there is an asterisk in this which I just have to bring up, and I did a little fact checking. We did lose a Monday game in 2020 at home to Washington, but it was that weird like COVID season where things
Yeah.
happen, and that game was at 5 o'clock, and so technically it wasn't a Monday Night Football game. I think it was like a rescheduling. So that said, 22 straight Monday Night Football victories at home. I don't have the stat up, but I think we're pretty good in the color rush uniforms too. And so for me, you don't think so?
I know. I don't know the. I didn't know the. Go ahead. I agree with you.
For me, this is a Steelers victory, and so I think we're going to see 4+ Boswell field goals, and I think we're going to get it done. I think this is what the team needs. So I'm gonna again temper my expectations, but I am going to be a little bit optimistic and let myself get a little bit excited that maybe they do say, hey, we're going to get our shit together and we're going to stack on some wins at the end of the season.
So just to, this is kind of crazy. Google AI is giving us a win right now. That's ridiculous. But a quick Google search shows we are 7-3 in the color rush jerseys. So everything you said is completely right. I agree with you. This feels like a Pittsburgh Steelers, we're going to dominate kind of game, in my opinion. And for that reason, I'm going to pick the Steelers to win 23-13. Obviously, dominate in Steelers terms means a 10-point victory, but I do think we cover the spread, the 3.5-point spread, and we win sort of convincingly, and keep the momentum going into Detroit the following week. So yeah, I feel pretty good. I do think the weather will play a role, like as I laid out there, and we'll see what happens. They need turnovers to win this game, I think, because I do believe that Devon Achane could run the ball all over them.
Yeah, especially when it's cold, right? You got to think Tua might not be throwing it all that much. Like you said, he hasn't had a 200-yard game in a while, but we know he can produce it. We know that that can happen. He has more passing yards on the season than Aaron Rodgers does.
Right.
So, okay. Well, I think that's a good way to kind of tie up a bow and wrap it up as we get ready to play the Dolphins. Last primetime game. Well, maybe not, because who knows what they're going to do with Week 18. But we'll let it ride, and thank you everyone for listening. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, everyone. Peace.